All right, so kicking things off today, we are diving into something pretty fundamental, like really getting to know ourselves, you know? And we're going to be looking at the work of Rutherford Intel for this.
Yeah, and they have this really interesting kind of driving idea behind everything they do. It's this vision of a world where professionals are all supporting each other and everybody feels empowered.
Empowered to reach their full potential. I love that.
Exactly. And they see self-awareness as like the key to all of that. It's the bedrock, they say.
The bedrock of personal and professional success. Like if you understand yourself, you can understand how to like really work with your own strengths and I guess know where you need to improve or
Yeah, like knowing your own operating system almost.
exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. So we want to show you, our listener, how understanding your own personality can be a huge help. It's not just, a fun fact about yourself. It's something you can use to really improve yourself.
And your relationships with other people.
Totally. And your career choices, too. Find something that really fits who you are.
So to help us with this self-discovery, we're looking at this framework that Rutherford Intel uses called personality DNA.
Okay.
And it's super interesting because it identifies 85 different personality traits.
85.
Yeah, 85. And these traits combine to create 12 main personality types. And then there are all these variations and hybrid types too.
It's like figuring out the building blocks of who you are.
Exactly. And the goal really is to provide like real self-knowledge, not just to label you, but to give you something that you, the listener, can actually use to make, decisions about your life and feel good about those decisions.
To feel confident in who you are and the choices that you make.
Yeah, exactly. And to really illustrate what this kind of approach can do, we're going to focus on one specific personality type today as an example.
Okay, which one?
It's called the insightful holistic type. And Rutherford Intel considers it to be one of the intellectual personality types.
So for our listener, the learner, they should know that the insightful holistic personality is a unique way of seeing the world and interacting with it. It's actually not that common. Only about 1.38% of people share this personality DNA. So, if this resonates with you, you're part of a pretty unique group. So let's dig in. What is it that really makes this insightful holistic type tick?
Well, at their core, they are deep thinkers, like really profound.
Okay.
And they are drawn to complex problems, things that require, a lot of thought and reflection. And they're often guided by introspection.
Introspection.
Yeah, like looking inward, examining their own thoughts and feelings. And it's all part of this pursuit of wisdom, this desire to, improve the world, make things better.
So it's not just thinking for the sake of thinking. There's a real drive behind it, a purpose.
Exactly.
What's the takeaway here for our listener who really loves those tough challenges?
The real strength of the insightful holistic personality is their deep reflective thinking. It makes them natural problem solvers, especially when it comes to those really intricate issues.
Makes sense. So the material mentions that they have this hybrid nature.
Right.
What does that actually look like?
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
They combine this like intense inward focus with a really broad perspective. They're always questioning things, wondering what if, imagining all sorts of possibilities.
I see.
They're looking for connections that other people might miss, those hidden patterns.
So their minds are constantly working, searching for new insights and possibilities.
Absolutely.
How do people with this personality type tend to view themselves?
Oh, that's interesting. Rutherford Intel says they often see themselves as multifaceted, almost like they have all these different sides to their personality. And they feel like they can easily shift between these different aspects of themselves. So it makes them feel very dynamic, but also maybe sometimes a little inconsistent. They often describe themselves as complex people, maybe even a bit mysterious.
Mysterious. I like that. Okay, so there's this point in the material about a challenge, and it says, envision the world through big idea solutions.
Yeah.
What does that mean, practically speaking, for someone with the insightful holistic personality?
Well, I think it speaks to their talents.
Yeah.
They're so good at delving into their own thoughts and feelings. They really understand their own motivations.
Self-aware.
Yeah, and they're independent learners too. They like to figure things out on their own through reflection and introspection.
Introspection, again.
It's a key theme here. And of course, as we said before, they are drawn to those complex problems that others might shy away from.
So, like, they're not intimidated by the hard stuff?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
They seem to thrive on it. And it's all fueled by this this constant desire for wisdom. They want to understand the deeper truths, the underlying connections that most people miss.
They see the bigger picture. It's not just about the surface.
Right.
Okay, the material also mentions natural leadership qualities. How do those show up in the insightful holistic type?
Their leadership style is interesting. It's not about being forceful or dominant. It's more about attracting people, drawing them in. Others are drawn to them because of their wisdom, their originality, their intuition. They embrace change, they learn from their experiences, and they involve others in their plans.
And they're open to new ideas.
Very much so. They have this questing spirit, always seeking understanding.
So it's a leadership that inspires, not dictates. What would you say are the defining features of their leadership style?
I'd say it's best described as intellectual leadership. They have a knack for breaking free from conventional thinking, from those societal norms, and they inspire others to do the same. Their approach is often visionary, focused on the long term, thinking about the bigger implications of things. They encourage their teams to think big, to come up with ideas that can have a real positive impact.
So they're about unlocking potential, both in themselves and in others.
Yes, and their curiosity is just insatiable. They're constantly learning, reflecting on their experiences, always striving to improve. And they really value critical thinking. They see it as crucial for themselves and for those around them.
And nurturing the talents of their team?
Right.
Helping people reach their full potential.
Absolutely. That's a core element of their leadership style.
That's pretty different from, your stereotypical manager. What are some of the values, beliefs, philosophies that really drive this personality type?
At the core, I think, is a belief in the power of the human intellect. The idea that we have the capacity to overcome limitations, to imagine a better future, and to make it happen.
They're idealists, in a sense.
In a way, yes. They often see themselves as guides, as mentors, sharing their insights and knowledge with others. They really resonate with the concept of holistic living, too. Recognizing that all aspects of life are interconnected and that prioritizing mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being is essential for growth and wisdom.
It all ties together, the inward focus, the pursuit of wisdom, the belief in our potential to make things better. How does this translate into their daily lives, their approach to work?
It's interesting. Despite their leadership capabilities, they tend to be more introverted. They might not be the life of the party, but they shine when they have the opportunity to share their insights in a more structured setting, like giving a lecture or a presentation.
I see.
And in their personal relationships, they seek out intellectual equals, people they can have deep, meaningful conversations with. Small talk just doesn't do it for them.
They need that intellectual stimulation.
Yeah. And they really value knowledge, obviously, but also deep thinking, loyalty, intimacy. They nurture these things through personal growth and a respect for individual choices.
So it's quality over quantity in their relationships and a constant hunger for knowledge and understanding.
Precisely.
Okay, so how can someone best communicate with an insightful, holistic individual? What's important for our listener to know if they work with someone like this, or maybe even live with them?
This is really important. They like to think things through before they speak. So they might seem slow to respond in conversations. Some people, they think out loud. They process their thoughts by talking.
Right, right.
But insightful, holistic types, they need that time for internal reflection before they share their perspective. And this can sometimes be misinterpreted as disinterest or like they're not paying attention.
Yeah. It's easy to make that mistake.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's not that they don't care. They just process information differently.
So what's the key to communicating effectively with them?
RutherfordINTEL talks about a holistic communication strategy. It's about looking beyond the immediate issue and considering the broader impact, thinking about things on a societal level, an economic level, and really understanding your audience, knowing who you're trying to reach.
I see. So do your research.
Exactly. Think about the big picture, the context. Be adaptable. Be perceptive. That's how you connect with this personality type.
It's not just about the words you say, it's about the thought behind them.
Right. And be prepared for a well-considered response.
Okay. Now, what are some of the top talents, the things that really make the insightful, holistic individual stand out?
The report highlights several key strengths. They're great at conceptual thinking, critical reasoning, and articulating a compelling vision. They can see the big picture and explain it to others in a way that inspires. They also have this knack for identifying and nurturing potential in others.
So they're good at spotting talent.
Yeah, and developing it. And they actively seek out innovation, always looking for new and better ways of doing things. Plus, they have this natural ability to inspire those around them.
It sounds like a pretty potent combination.
It is. It makes sense why they often emerge as leaders.
So where do these talents typically lead them in terms of career paths?
Well, the report mentions a lot of potential paths where they are likely to excel. Academia is a natural fit. University professor, faculty dean, those kinds of roles. Also various forms of consulting where they can use their analytical skills and strategic thinking. And in the communication field, public relations, account executive positions.
That makes sense.
And because they have such a deep understanding of human nature, careers in psychology are also a good match. Research psychology, psychoanalysis, counseling psychology.
Yeah, that aligns with their introspective nature.
Definitely. And then there are more diverse areas like community service director, family and civil mediator, even roles in science. Chemist, biologist, medical researcher, environmental scientist.
Wow, the range is really broad.
It is. And it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
They also have potential in creative fields like museum curator, commercial artist, and then there's government and social services, self-employment, even entrepreneurship, although there's a higher risk associated with that.
Of course, entrepreneurship always comes with risk.
Right, but they have the vision and the drive to succeed. And the report also points to a lot of potential in executive roles across many different sectors. President, CEO, general manager, the IOO, vice president roles.
That's a lot of leadership potential.
It is. And then there are management roles, HR positions, politics, inspection and regulatory affairs, government administration, even some roles in sports, believe it or not, and retail leasing. And then leadership positions in engineering consulting, healthcare, IT, construction, and product supply chain.
It's amazing how many different areas they could potentially thrive in.
It really speaks to their intellectual adaptability, their ability to apply their skills across different domains.
Okay, so to sum up, what would you say are the core characteristics of the insightful holistic personality?
So based on the personality DNA report, which gives them a score of 60, they are complex, dynamic, and sometimes even contradictory. They are deep thinkers, always searching for wisdom, and they have this natural ability to connect seemingly disparate ideas.
And they're natural leaders.
Yes, very much so. Innovative, insightful, always looking for new ways to improve things.
The report dives deeper into some of their unique qualities as well, right?
Yeah, it does. It highlights their holistic nature, emphasizing their deep thinking, their constant questioning, their ability to connect things that others might not see.
Okay.
And also their desire to make the world a better place. It also mentions their unique insight. They have this way of thinking metaphorically, and they are really good at understanding people's motivations. Fluid thinking is another key aspect. They're cognitively flexible, open-minded, adaptable, and they don't like rigid solutions. They're always looking for a better way.
And of course, their natural leadership.
Right. Their judgment is trusted, they are thought leaders in their fields, and they're always coming up with new and innovative ideas.
So all of these qualities, they come together to shape their leadership style, don't they?
Exactly. The report identifies their style as insightful leadership. So they champion innovative ideas, they encourage intellectual contribution from their teams, and they're often thought leaders in their fields. They have this natural authority that comes from their deep understanding of things, and they have a strategic vision. They're always looking at the big picture, but also focusing on clear, well-defined goals.
It's a fascinating combination of traits. So we've talked a lot about, how they operate professionally, intellectually. But what about their personal well-being? How do they approach their health?
Well, the report emphasizes this focus on holistic health. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything: physical health, mental health, social well-being, and spiritual health. And they tend to experience a lot of stress internally because they're so aware of the suffering in the world.
It's like they carry the weight of the world on their shoulders.
In a way, yes. They advocate for balanced eating, not just for nutrition, but for the enjoyment of it. And they see the connection between their thoughts and their eating habits.
So mindful eating, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay, for our listener who might be like, hey, this sounds familiar, the report offers some advice on how people with this personality type can understand themselves even better. What are some of those suggestions?
One key recommendation is expressing themselves. Actually articulating their thoughts and feelings, which can be complex sometimes. That helps them gain clarity and align their goals with their values.
So putting those complex thoughts into words.
Yes, exactly. And defining themselves, really owning that uniqueness. Remembering that statistic, only 1.38% of people share this personality type.
That's pretty rare.
It is. And embracing their complexity, not trying to fit into some kind of mold. And of course, continuous learning. That's a natural fit for them, always seeking new knowledge and experiences.
It's about being true to themselves and continuing that journey of self-discovery. So, for a learner who's all about personal growth, how can they apply this understanding of the insightful, holistic personality?
Well, today's conversation has just been a little glimpse into the kind of self-knowledge that Rutherford Intel's personality DNA framework provides. And even if you're not an insightful, holistic type yourself, I think it shows just how deep and nuanced our individual differences can be.
Absolutely. So, for a listener, if you're intrigued by this, if you're curious about your own unique makeup, what's the next step?
If you're ready to uncover your own personality type and really delve into these insights, I highly recommend taking the Rutherford Intel assessment.
It's designed to help you understand your strengths, your tendencies, and also identify potential paths for growth, for building stronger relationships, and for creating a more fulfilling life.
And you can find the assessment by visiting RutherfordINTEL.io. That's RutherfordINTEL.io. Take the assessment and start your own journey of self-discovery.
It's an amazing opportunity. So, as you consider taking that next step, think about this. How could a deeper understanding of who you are at your core unlock potential in your life, both personally and professionally? How could it help you move beyond that surface level understanding of yourself and achieve a more profound, more actionable self-awareness? It's definitely something worth exploring. Until next time on The Deep Dive.